26-year-old sales rep Veronica Lopez is suing her former roommate's mother, dispatcher Christy Malden, for stealing her dog and the dog's puppies. Christy says Veronica is a neglectful pet owner.
Yes, case number 80 on the calendar in the matter of Lopez versus Malden. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Lopez, it is your claim that the defendant, who is the mother of a former roommate of yours,
yes,
stole your dog and her puppies, and you want to be compensated to the tune of $1,900.
yes.
The defendant says that you neglected this dog, that she spent over $1,000 in vet bills putting the dog in a reasonable condition, and that she ultimately sold the puppies. We'll find out what you did with the dog. I understand that this was not the first time your dog had puppies, according to your complaint. Is that right?
That's correct.
What kind of a dog was it?
It was a Chi-Poo, half Chihuahua, half Poodle.
Where did you get the dog from?
It was a Christmas gift to my daughter from her father for Christmas of 2002.
How many litters have you had with this dog?
This is the second one.
Who did you breed her with?
It was actually a situation where there was a dog, a poodle, that lived around my area. And I had a doggy door, and the dog was able to squeeze through my gate. And while I was at work, she got pregnant while I was at work.
So what you're telling me is you don't know really who the father was?
No, I do. I know the dog. I know the dog.
So it was an accident?
Yes.
Why didn't you have the dog spayed?
Because I figured that I had it fixed. I had intentions of doing it, but it happened too quickly.
Well, that doesn't happen too quickly, madam. You got the dog as a puppy in December of 2002. Well, within 6 months, you had the dog spayed. And if you didn't have the dog spayed, then you know that you could run the risk of the dog having puppies.
Well, I had intentions of maybe breeding her, but I wasn't expecting it to happen the way it did.
In August of 2004, she had her first litter?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that the first time that Miss Malden helped you?
Yes, that is correct.
And tell me about that.
Well, I was at work, and I had another roommate at the time. And when she let me know that our dog, Zoe, was going to have puppies, and that she didn't know what to do, so she contacted Christy to help her out.
Well, you told me she called you at work.
Well, she called me, right, to tell me, and
she called you at work, and what did you do, Miss Lopez?
I was going to come home, and she's like, I was going to come home. She said that she knows Heather. Heather's mom is good with dogs, so she's going to call Heather's mother and see if she would help her out. So she...
Why didn't you go home?
Because I was working and I couldn't... Because I had... My roommate told me that she was able to handle it, so I didn't go home.
How many puppies were delivered in August 2004?
There were 4.
All born alive?
Yes, all of them.
All of them survive?
Yes.
Did you sell all 4?
I sold 2.
What happened to the other 2?
The other 2 is a sad story.
Well, let me hear. I'm interested in sad stories. 4 were born alive. You sold 2. What happened to the other 2?
Okay, well, my...
Let's get the story, please. Are the other 2 alive or dead?
No, they died.
When did they die?
They died about 2 months after they were, or a month and a half after they were born.
Were they in your custody when they died?
They were.
Had they been taken to a vet up until that time? The answer is yes or no?
No.
Okay. So now you have puppies that are 6 weeks old that you didn't know how to deliver. 2 of them died after they reached a month and a half old. So that was clearly your fault.
No. It wasn't...
What did they die from?
Well, okay, again, I had to go to work, and it was hot. It was in the summer. So my air conditioner broke, and my dog, it was... How to explain this? Okay. It was really hot. My dog was... Okay. I ended up putting... Okay, I had a dog house outside of my patio, and I put my dog and the puppies outside at night because my air conditioner broke at night, and it was extremely hot. It was so extremely hot. Well, it was cooler night, so I put them outside, and again, my roommate and I agreed, that I would, that they would go outside. I'd go to work in the morning. She would go and pick, and take them and bring them back in the house. Well, I went to work, and she ended up sleeping in, and I guess two of the puppies crawled out of their doghouse, and they died.
So again, it was somebody else's fault?
No, it was not somebody else's fault. It was my fault.
Good. Okay, now you should have understood, Miss Lopez, that breeding dogs was not for you.
I wasn't breeding him. It was an accident. It wasn't something...
An accident happens once.
Okay.
Then you take the dog to have the dog spayed.
Right.
You did not.
No, I did not.
So the dog got pregnant again. Do you want to tell me how that happened?
It was by the same dog. And it was the same way.
Same dog, same way. And you did the same thing. You called the defendant.
I called her this time, yes.
I said you called the defendant.
Yes.
I read your complaint, and you called her and said what?
And I told her, you know, my roommate trusted that you helped deliver Zoe's first litter, and I was like, I need to go to work again. And I asked her if I could bring Zoe over so that she could assist in making sure that she was okay, because I realized that her water broke. And so she, you know, I asked her and she agreed. So I went over there and I dropped Zoe off, and I told her that I would come back and, you know, check up on the puppies.
Well, when did you come back?
I went to work, and then I came back the following day.
When did she have the puppies?
She had them that day.
What was the date?
It was January. It was about January 30th.
Is that the date?
Or so.
No.
It was
What's the date?
She brought them to my house on the 20th. She delivered the puppies the 21st in the evening.
She delivered the puppies on the 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
When did she come back?
Sunday.
Which is what date?
Well, that would be the 23rd.
3 days after she brought the dog to your house.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Miss Lopez, between August of 2004, when your dog had the first litter,
Right.
and January of 2005, how many vet visits did your dog have?
She had 2 vet visits.
You have the forms?
I don't. I don't have those.
What were the visits for?
It was just a checkup. That's it. Getting her shots, and that was it.
What's the name of the vet?
The vet, I don't have that information.
How many dogs do you have?
I only have 1 dog.
Well, if you only have 1 dog, then it's not a problem with remembering the name of the vet. You remembered what happened in August of 2004 pretty much verbatim.
Right.
So just the name of the doctor.
I don't have that information. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You certainly don't have any room up here to take care of yourself, a 5-year-old, a dog, and 8 puppies, because you couldn't figure out that that doggy door was going to be open and closed and open and closed and open and closed. So you got to think about that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Lopez says her former roommate's mother, Christy Malden, stole her dog Zoe and Zoe's litter of puppies. Christy says Veronica has no right to be a pet owner.
Okay, Ms. Malden, the plaintiff brought the dog to your house on the 20th of January.
Yes.
You delivered how many puppies?
4.
Were you aware of the fact that the plaintiff was responsible for the death of 2 of the puppies that you had delivered the previous summer?
Yes, ma'am. I was very upset when I found that out.
After you delivered the 4 puppies, and they were all born alive?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they all survive?
Yes.
What happened with Zoe?
When Veronica called me on the 20th, she asked me if I could watch the dog. And I said, yes, I'm homesick today, so that'd be fine. I'll watch her for you. And she brought her over, and she said, I think her water broke. And so I watched her, and the dog, her water didn't break, but she kept throwing up. So that happened throughout the whole day on Thursday. Friday, she was pretty much the same, but she delivered the puppies, started around 5:30 on the 21st in the evening. And she had a hard time with those, so I had to assist her in those, pulling the puppies out, because she's so small and so weak.
Somebody have a picture of this dog?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Here's one of the babies, too. That was when the puppies were 3 weeks old.
Okay. When did Zoe have to go to the vet?
Well, Sunday, Zoe started having diarrhea in the evening. By Monday, she was throwing up. I had put her in my bathroom with the babies and came back at lunch to check on them, and she was laying in both feces and nursing the puppies at the same time. I then called Veronica and let her know, the situation, told her they needed to be taken to the vet. And she
You
said,
remember that phone call?
Yes, I do.
Did you rush home to take her to the vet?
I told her that I was going to come by and pick up the dog.
Did
I
you?
did not. No, I did not, because she didn't explain to me or go into detail on what exactly was happening.
I mean, is there something thick? She's had your dog the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. She had the dog when the dog delivered the puppies, when the dog was vomiting, which she told you about. She had the dog when the dog had the puppies. Now she's calling you and saying, there's a problem. The dog has to go to the vet.
Right. See, I went to her house. It was 2 days after Zoe, or a day after Zoe had the puppies. I went over to her house to go visit my dog and the puppies.
I'm talking to you about the day she called you and said the dog is sick.
Right. But there's more that goes to that. And
How old's your daughter?
she is 5 years old.
Okay. Have you ever gotten a call from school and what's your daughter's name?
Alexis.
Alexis. Alexis is sick, you have to come and get her.
Yes.
And do you go after work?
And yes, I do.
You go after work. You say, you just hold her there. I'll be there when I can get there.
Yes, I do. I get off. No, I apologize. No, I don't tell her to hold on there. I get out of work and I go get my daughter. I apologize. I was mistaken.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
That's what this lady said. She said this dog is very ill and has to go to the vet.
I understand that.
What do you understand, Miss Lopez? What you have to understand at your age is you got enough on your plate without a dog.
Yeah.
You got enough on your plate taking care of yourself. Now you got enough on your plate taking care of yourself and a 5-year-old. You certainly don't have any room up here to take care of yourself, a 5-year-old, a dog, and 8 puppies, because you had 4, 2 you lost, and 2 more you had, because you couldn't figure out that doggy door was going to be open and closed and open and closed and open and closed. So you got to think about that. You didn't use your brains to think about spaying the dog when you were supposed to. The dog got pregnant, had puppies. Because of your neglect, 2 died. So it would seem to me somebody in their right mind would say, listen, I better have this dog spayed now or move to a house that didn't have a doggy door. Not you. You kept the dog. You kept the doggy door, and what do you know? Neighbor's dog comes in again, and once again your dog is pregnant. And you are running to work. So you call somebody else to clean up after you.
Well, I was working, and she called me and she told me she had already taken her to the vet.
No.
This is after the conversation.
No. You said I'll be there.
Right.
Did you leave work?
No, I did not leave work.
What time do you get off from work?
Sometime in the afternoon, late afternoon.
Your Honor.
So you had no intention of going over there?
No, I did.
Did you go and say, I have to leave work?
Veronica Lopez claims her former roommate's mother, Christy Malden, stole her dog Zoe and gave away Zoe's litter of puppies.
What was the vet bill for Zoe?
It was $1,900.
Can I see what they had to do with the dog,
$1,009.88. Those are the doctor's notes.
They had to give your dog an IV catheter replacement, fluid therapy, fluid additives, plasma transfusion.
She had to have a
Dog
blood
was
transfusion.
hospitalized, spayed.
The dog was severely malnutritioned.
A dog that is malnutrition doesn't have 4 healthy puppies. My dog was well loved.
Tubman may concern. Zoe is a 2-year-old female terrier. She had given birth 2 days prior. She had been vomiting throughout the day and was in a moribund state. She had a fever, a life-threatening low blood calcium, and had lost 1/2 of her red blood cells. Saving her life required 4 days of hospitalization, a blood transfusion, a plasma transfusion, and abdominal surgery to remove her uterus that was continuing to bleed postpartum.
And I'm not denying any of that information. I know that my dog needed help. But the thing is, okay, the first day I went to Miss Malden's house to go look at my dog and the puppies, I saw that they were in good care. I did. I saw that they were in great care. And I mentioned to Heather, for your mom doing, this good deed and whatever, I want to offer her one of the puppies. The first thing that she mentioned was that my mom doesn't want one of the puppies, she wants Zoe.
Well, because Zoe was the neglected one. Miss Lopez, listen to me very carefully, madam.
Yes.
Did you pay her the $1,000 that she spent at the vet?
No, because I didn't have $1,000. And that was...
Well, you didn't have $1,000. Where did she get $1,000 from?
She didn't, and that's not... I told her, like, okay, after she mentioned that, the next day, the following day, after I had the conversation with Miss Malden at work, she told me she was going to take her to the vet, and I told her that I was going to go ahead and take care of it. I was going to take Zoe to the vet myself.
A vet whose name you can't remember. Did you give her back the $1,000? She paid the bill. The answer is...
No.
Yeah. Good. Where are the puppies?
I sold them after they turned 6 weeks old.
Okay. How much did you get for the puppies?
I got $300 for 2 of them, $200 for 2 of them, and then I sold Zoe for $300.
Who did you sell Zoe to?
I don't know who they were. I did screen the homes, though.
I don't know if I believe that, Miss Malden.
I don't, really, I don't.
I read the complaint. I read your answer. And I am, quite frankly, sympathetic with your position. But legally, you had no right to sell her dog. You understand that?
Yes.
She has no right to have a dog.
This is correct.
She doesn't know how to take care of them.
Right.
She's neglectful. She has a very full plate. And she has no right to act irresponsibly.
Right.
She caused the death of 2 puppies. She almost caused the death of Zoe because of her neglect, and she was perfectly happy to have somebody else pick up the slack for her. She is not a person who is responsible enough to have a pet.
Right.
But that doesn't give you the legal right to dispose of her dog. So the only thing that I have to come up with is, what are Miss Lopez's damages? Because for every lawsuit, there has to be damage.
Yes, ma'am.
I've already decided that legally you had absolutely no right to dispose of her dog.
Well, Your Honor...
Don't say anything to me.
Can I just...
Miss Lopez, listen to me very carefully. I've just told you that the defendant had absolutely no right to legally
but
to
she was
sell your
already
dog.
trying to convince me to give up my dog.
Absolutely. Because you have no right to have a dog.
Her. No.
Listen, I just told you, there isn't enough up here to take care of yourself. You have yourself and you have a 5-year-old daughter. You have no right adding to your plate a helpless animal that requires somebody else to do a little thinking for it, like spaying it so it doesn't become pregnant twice in 1 year, not taking puppies in out of the sun when it's 90 degrees outside, needs somebody else to think about taking care of them. You don't have that kind of time. I give you credit for working 2 jobs. I give you credit for being a single mom and taking care of a 5-year-old and working to take care of yourself. You have no right to have a dog. You don't have time. You don't have time to make that commitment. And the only thing is, I have to figure out what your damages were. She took over your dog. She had, on a dollar profit, she had $300 that she made, in addition to what she spent on your dogs at the vet. But she also took care of your dog and your puppies for 8 weeks, where you did zippo. No, I'm speaking zippo, nothing. And as far as I'm concerned, her time in taking care of your pets have to be worth something. If your puppies were with you and you had to tube feed them for 2 weeks, you would have had to take off from work to do that. Otherwise, you would have neglected them and turned them over to your roommate, who let 2 of them fry out in the sun, which would have been an unsatisfactory resolution. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I believe I was in the wrong for selling Zoe.
My dog was well cared for.
When I first got the dog, I cried because you could feel every bone in its body.
It was fed.
I was giving it all the care it needed.
I gave her love. I took her to the groomer.
Hopefully people learned from it.
She had everything she needed to survive and to be cared for.
Take care of the animals.
19-year-old Megan Fay is suing her ex-boyfriend, 20-year-old waiter Kevin Malaber, for loans to pay rent and to buy a new cell phone. Kevin claims Megan is upset that he's moved on.
Miss Fay, it is your claim that you made 2 small loans to the defendant while you were dating.
Yes.
Mr. Malaber says that he doesn't recall you making any loans to him, that he doesn't need your money. He has no knowledge of any loans or financial gifts that you made to him. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. You both go to school?
Yes.
When did you make the first loan?
It was August 7th.
2006?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
He said that his dad couldn't pay for his rent because his dad was getting a new job. So he wanted me to lend him the money until his dad could pay me with the new job, and that was $420.
What was the money for?
The rent money.
Where did you get the money from?
My savings account.
You have proof of that for me?
Yeah, I have the statement's right here.
Can I see it, please?
I had to take 2 up. Okay.
You had to take 2 out because?
I was doing the ATM, so I didn't think I would be able to take $420 out at once, so I split it up.
Okay. Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I work at JCPenney's.
Full-time?
Part-time, I work between 15 and 30 hours while going to school.
Work full-time at a restaurant as a server.
What was the next loan that you made to him?
I've been bugging him about a cell phone, so he told me that he wanted to get one, so his dad said he couldn't do it, so I went with him to open it, and...
What do you mean you were bugging him about a cell phone?
He didn't have a cell phone, so I'd have to call his friends, and he said that he would get one, and his dad would pay for it, but his dad couldn't do it at that time, so I went with him and opened one for him.
Well, he was working. Why didn't he buy it?
He just started, and I made him get that job. He didn't want to work,
And how much was the cell phone?
it was $200.
Okay, and you don't remember any of this, sir?
No, my father would pay cash for my rent. My parents are divorced, and they both would pay half of the rent.
So you have no information whatsoever about this $420 amount of money?
No. And what was the date she said she took that money out?
August 7th.
Our rent was due the 20th of every month.
Yes.
So I don't know why there would be the 7th of the month that she would be taking out money for my rent.
I don't know. That's
He
what she
was
says.
going to visit his friend where he was living, and he needed it that day because he wouldn't get to it before the due date. That's what he told me. I was all just going on what he was telling me, and I didn't want him to lose his apartment, so I gave him the money.
Okay. Now, Miss Fay, you claim that after he refused to pay you back because you had some disagreement about his going out with somebody else, you contacted his father.
Yes.
And how did you contact him?
I had a cell phone because Kevin would use my phone to call his father and his mother. So I called his dad hoping he would be able to help me out.
And did you speak with him?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said that he couldn't help me, that he talked to Kevin, and Kevin wanted to do this on his own because he was 20, and that if nothing happens, he told me that I should do small claims court.
That's what his father told you?
Yes. Because
What's
he
your
didn't want
father's
to help me
telephone
out.
number, sir?
5763.
Is that his work number?
No, that's his cell phone.
Good. Did you ever meet him, by the way?
Yes. I would go to his house with Kevin. I would have to drive him because
Good.
he didn't have a car.
I'm going to give your dad a call.
Okay.
How's that?
That's fine.
Great. Mr. This is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you? Mr. I have a couple of questions for you. Do you have a moment for me, sir? Great, great. Do you remember sometime several months ago receiving a phone call from Miss Fay, your son's former girlfriend, Megan Fay? She discussed with you some money that she said your son had borrowed from her? Did she tell you how much he had borrowed? Did you agree to pay her that money? And did you speak to Kevin about it? And what happened? Okay. Did you tell Miss Fay that if he owed her money, that she should sue him? I absolutely agree with you, sir. You've met this young lady before, is that right? Ever had any difficulty with her before? Seemed like a nice young lady? Very good. Thanks very much. I appreciate your assistance. Bye-bye now.
He said.
There are always ways to figure out who's telling the truth, Mr. Malabar. If I can't get it from one source, I get it from another. Don't you feel foolish? 10 million people are going to know you're a liar.
I'm not lying here.
Yes, you are.
What did he say?
That's for me to know and for you to think about. But there's no question in my mind you're a liar. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $620. That's all. Thank you.
Damian Cecere says he helped friend Amy Brown with a loan to get started in a vitamin selling business. Damien claims Amy has yet to pay him back.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Cecere.
Mr. Cecere, I want you to understand that I have some familiarity with the kind of business that you're in. Do you want to explain it to Bert, or would you like me to do it?
The nature of the business?
Yes.
Essentially, I have my friend Ronald here who has been in the business for 12 years, and he...
Ronald doesn't have to explain it.
Okay.
I'm going to, in very simplistic terms, explain it to Bert. You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
Simple. You have this vitamin bottle, because that's what they sell, vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronald, that's this guy over here, he's been in the business 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes sells these vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
But what he does mostly is get other people under him who sell vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And depending upon at what level they buy in, they could buy in with $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, they get product. He brings him in. Mr. Sincere over here buys $5,000 worth of product. He gets a piece of that.
Sure.
So it's like slavery, you know. What you do is he brings in, what's your first name?
Damien.
He brings in a lot of Damiens. Damien 1, Damien 2, Damien 3, Damien 4. And whatever Damien orders from the business, not sells, but orders from the business, Ronald gets a piece of.
Multi-level marketing.
Correct. Now, so then it inures to Damien 1 through 5. They say, listen, we want to be Ronald too.
Of course.
So we're going to see if we can get, what's your name?
Amy.
A whole bunch of Amy's under us to buy as much product as he can, because they get a piece of whatever Amy buys.
Of course. And
And
him
they
too.
also, and so does Ronald.
That's right.
Because Ronald gets a smaller piece of Amy, but he still gets a piece of Amy. And then, what's your name?
Damien.
What's your name?
Cody.
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 I want to get a whole bunch of Codys because that's the way I'm going to make my money. And he's going to get a little piece of Cody, and he's going to get a smaller piece of Cody, but everybody's going to get a piece of Cody. That's the way the game works.
Oh, yeah.
Got it?
That's right.
Pretty much. Now, you also reach certain levels in this business, because if you're a master, or if you're a guru, or if you're a titan, or if you're an Ogatunji, whatever it is, what happens is they give you perks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get perks in your business, like a car?
If you get high enough, you do. Yeah, I'm not there yet.
You think this is a scheme that I haven't been through a couple of times in my life?
No, I didn't say that.
All right, I got it. So if you get up really high, if you get to be a Grandmaster Ungatunji, they give you a BMW.
Of course.
Or they give you a Mercedes. So there are advantages for Ronald to get a whole bunch of Damiens, and for Damiens to get a whole bunch of Amy's, and for Amy's to get a whole bunch of Codys, because in addition to getting the money, you also get the perks. That's the drill. Now, Damien over here got Amy involved in the business, and she bought inventory. How much worth, sir?
It was worth $5,000.
What are you asking him for? The questions are going to get harder.
Oh my. I think it was worth about $5,000, and he actually put up $3,300.
Okay, but you put up the money for her
Yes, I did.
on your credit card
Yes, I did.
because you were hoping that she was going to do well in the business, and she wasn't such a good salesperson. And she couldn't find a Cody. If she killed herself, she couldn't find a Cody. So you ended up getting stiffed for your money.
Correct.
And she sent back some of her product,
Right, some of it.
but you want, because you're stuck with the bill now, because you're not a Grandmaster Ogatunji yet.
Right.
There isn't any such thing as a
There may be, I'm
Grandmaster
not that high
Ogatunji,
up,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I sort of made that up because it sounded funny. So you want her to pay you the money. Miss Brown says you gave her all kinds of sales pitch. You told her she was going to make a fortune, that there were Codys floating around under every rock, that she was going to be able to sell these vitamins, that they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And she couldn't do it because she was no salesperson. And since you didn't help her, she sent back the product that she hadn't used. If You have the bill, that's your problem. Okay, we have certain things that we understand. We understand that he bought in for $3,300 and put it on his credit card. That is an agreed state of fact. It is also agreed that you agreed to pay him back that money for starting you in this business. This was going to be your business. You were going to be a grand female ugatunja. Didn't work out. Wasn't your thing. So what did you do?
I asked for his help several times.
How did you do that?
Either phone conversations or via email.
And what did he say to you?
Usually it was, yeah, we need to get together and talk about this, which never happened. And after so many attempts, I just sent all the product back.
And what did he say?
He was fine with it as far as I knew. I told him I was going to do it, and he said he understood.
So, when did he decide to sue you?
I just was served about 2 weeks ago.
When was this that you sent back the product?
Believe it was May or June of 2006.
So why did you wait to sue her, sir? Is not an answer.
Okay. I wanted to work with Amy to give her an opportunity to pay back the remaining balance.
Well, had you asked her for it?
Of course.
How many times did you ask her for the balance?
Numerous. Both on the phone, and then when she started not returning my phone calls, our relationship was degraded. And I have in emails that she said she would indeed pay back the remaining balance.
Can I see it, please?
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Yes.
I absolutely did make every attempt to not only talk to Amy on the phone, but to get together with her, to involve her in opportunity meetings. Ronald also met her in Anaheim for a meeting. I feel like we put forth a very fair and aggressive effort to assist her with this.
It is clear to me that over the course of several months, you agreed to pay him.
And I agreed to make payments.
So why didn't you?
Because at the time I had lost my job, I was laid off, and I just bought my condo. And
you just bought your condo?
I just bought a condo, and then I was laid off, and then I was trying to get caught up with my other bills, which were a priority.
Well, then you acknowledge this debt to him.
A portion of it.
Well, which portion of it, madam?
I agreed to, okay, he had agreed to help me with.
Listen, we're beyond that. We had agreed to help you. Now I have emails where you clearly acknowledge the debt, which belies what you told me, that he breached his contract to help you, which is why you don't have to pay him. So now we know that you agreed to pay him. So I'm asking you why. Is it because you bought a condo?
No, the condo was prior to even meeting him.
Well, so what does that have to do with paying him back?
Well, no, I had been laid off, and that's when I met him, and he convinced me to do this so that I could make money. Then
it didn't work out, and you returned the product, and you still said, I'm going to pay you. So what stopped you?
Well, I didn't agree with the amounts that he was saying I owed him.
Well, how much do you say you owe him? That's where I started 5 minutes ago.
Okay, I believe I owe him maybe $1,000 just based on the portions of it that I was able to sell.
Well, how much did you sell?
Maybe a couple $100 worth to just...
Where are your records?
There's no record. I mean, you sell the container to people for cash.
What do you mean, you sell it for cash and then you don't report it to anybody? Not even the government? How do you expect to pay your taxes?
Well, I don't know. This is something he was supposed to help me with.
He's not supposed to help you with that. This is your business.
Well, this is what he promised to help me with. I have the emails where he stated he promised to help me as well.
How much product? $3,300. How much product did she send back?
She returned $699.30, which was credited to my credit card. And she gave me a personal check for $300.
And you cashed it?
Of course.
Good.
Also, Your Honor, originally I gave Amy a can, 2 cans of product, which I said you can pay me back for. Just give me the same cans once you get your order, and she never did. So I had added that in as well.
You're going to have to live with that, sir. Damien.
Okay.
So she returned $700 worth of product, bringing it down to $2,600, and she gave you $300, leaving a grand total of $2,300.
And they actually prorated that, that they don't refund you the full amount. So they only give you, I think, 80 to 90% back.
And
that's what was credited to his credit card.
Well, that's all right. He has to be made whole. You're a big girl. How old are you?
36.
What?
36.
36. 36 years old. You make a decision. It doesn't work out. You have to take care of the consequences. These are slick guys. This is the way they make a living. They find people who are young, looking to start a new life, start a new business, not worked out in other fields, and they say, listen, you can make a lot of money. And some people make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Ronald makes a good living, right? Damien, I don't know, do you make a good living?
I'm working on it.
Well, how much did you earn last year?
With Just For You Live?
Yes.
I'd have to look at my tax return.
Let's try to give me a round ballpark figure. Damien.
I'm going to say probably around $8,000.
8. You make a lot more. You've been there 12 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in, Damien?
About 3 years.
Oh, when you're there 12 years, you're going to have that Mercedes you want.
I hope so.
What kind of car do you drive, Ronald?
I drive a BMW.
Now.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The business has a 1-year money-back guarantee. So at any point, she could have returned the product and got 90% of her money back. The business isn't designed for people to fail. If they don't want to do it, if they get a new job, that's okay. So if there was ever a discrepancy, she could have returned all the product and Damien would have got reimbursed. So.
But she didn't.
Right.
She's got to pay him.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. Thank you. That's all.
Paxton Durlow is suing tattoo artist Breezy Barrett for breach of contract on the bartering of a vehicle. Paxton says Breezy was supposed to tattoo him in exchange for a truck.
Mr. Durlow, you traded your truck for services to be performed by the defendant, who's a tattoo artist. She paid some in cash for the truck, is that right?
Correct.
And the remainder was to be worked off in this barter arrangement. Is that right?
There was also a bike included in the deal as well.
That you got?
Yes, correct.
Your claim is that Miss Barrett did half of the tattoo and then modified the agreement that you had to complete the tattoo by telling you that you could only come for your appointments between 9 and 12 at a time when you work, therefore requiring that you go to somebody else to have the tattoo finished.
Correct.
That's what you want to pay for, plus some harassment nonsense. Everybody's been harassed. You know who's most harassed here?
You.
And Miss Barrett says that you caused her to lose business because what you did was you kept canceling appointments. And in addition to that, you sexually harassed her. So she's counterclaiming. When did you make this deal with the truck?
I'm not exact on the dates at all. I mean, I have the contract, I guess, in here. So
okay, so let me have the contract, please. Okay, so the sales agreement requires that the tattoo is to be completed in 2-hour sessions, no more than 3 weeks apart, unless otherwise agreed to by the parties, and that's dated 7/21/06, correct?
Correct. Yes.
When did you start the tattoo?
I was already in the middle of tattoos. This deal came on after I was already getting work from her.
So when you were supposed to start it in 2-hour sessions, according to the agreement?
Yes, that would have been starting that date.
So? What happened?
Well, the appointments were going well. Then I would get an occasional push. She would ask me if I could come in on a different day because there was a person that absolutely had to have that appointment. And it was a way for her to make money and that she was a sole provider for her home. So I agreed. And then it became redundant. And then
what?
I didn't agree any further. It started getting to where I couldn't get anything done.
Did you ever cancel appointments yourself?
The last time that I had an appointment to go to was one I canceled.
How many times did she change your appointment?
I believe 4 times, maybe even more.
And it was always because she had a paying customer?
A paying customer or something came up. She did have a mother who was terminally ill, which I fully understood. And she also changed appointments there, too, which I did not consider in the claim.
Okay. When did she tell you about this business of only coming in the morning?
After a discussion of me not getting anything done, the whole conversation was via text, and I have it, if you'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it.
Would you like to see pictures of the truck as well?
No.
Okay.
Not necessary. Oh, well, here's your problem. Breezy, you're Breezy, right?
Yes.
Here's your problem. It is clear to me that the two of you have a dispute in these text messages with regard to whose fault it was, etc. You know, clearly you were not yourself as a result of your mother's illness, because that's clear from these emails, and that there were certain stresses in your life. But when you say to him, in the future, you shouldn't off your artist until after the work is done, would be enough for me to say that you breached this contract and I wouldn't let you do any work on me. That's a threat. I mean, I don't know anything about tattoos except that I've seen them. They're done with needles, right?
Correct.
I wouldn't let anybody near me with a needle who said to me I wouldn't take any action until after it was all done and I was happy. You want to say anything to me?
I would love to.
Go ahead.
After 6 months of tattooing on him, I canceled 2 appointments.
Well, that's too many.
One being I'm a sole provider of my children. I only work 5 hours a day because I have preschool pickup, drop off, daycare closes.
Whatever. Listen,
Okay.
he's not your mother. He's not your
No,
sister.
he's not.
Your brother.
He was a friend.
Just a second. You canceled 2 appointments. Not tragic.
My second appointment I canceled was because his appointment was 2 days after my mother died.
You canceled the 2 appointments.
He called and made 4 appointments, 2 weeks, 2 hours back to back. No showed on every one of them. I only work 5 hours a day.
Show me.
Show.
Show
It's
me.
right here.
He says that that's not true.
Right here.
It's in pencil, Your Honor.
It doesn't matter if it's in pencil.
Let me take a look at it.
That's my appointment book. Here's my apprentice who helps make all my appointments.
Do you remember independently making these appointments?
She wasn't there at that time.
Just a second. Just answer my question. Do you remember independently making these appointments? Yes or no?
During that point in time.
Just answer my
no.
question. Fine. Thank you. I want you to give me the date of the first appointment. Would you give that book back to her, please? Give me the date of the first appointment you say he missed.
Monday, January 15th.
What was the next one?
1/19/07.
Well, that's not 2 weeks apart.
No, he called after no showing and said, sorry, can you get me in? So I did. I slid him in.
Okay, well, that's not 2 weeks apart. First you told me he made appointments 2 weeks apart over a month and didn't appear. So now it's 1/15/07.
Okay.
Then you Then you said he called you and said, I'm sorry, could you fit me in? You made it for 1/19/07, and then you say he didn't show up.
Then he had February 4th.
Go ahead.
Then he had February 16th.
Can you show me, Ms. Berendt, anywhere in these text messages where you say that he missed appointments on the 15th, the 19th, or February 4th, which is why you decided to change the rule, because you have a lot of emails going back and forth, a lot of bad language going back and well, from your end. But there isn't, according to what I see here, one place where you wrote in your email that he missed appointments on January 15th, January 19th, or February 4th. And all of these text messages were written on February 6th. Not one place do you talk about 3 missed appointments.
Those are his text messages.
Show me yours.
That phone was dropped in the toilet.
Okay.
But he could easily have left off the first 4 emails for you.
He could have.
You know?
And your phone maybe could have been dried off from the toilet. You have to take care of the rest of his tattoo. That was your contract with him.
I never had a problem with that.
That
ever.
was your contract. How much will it cost to finish the tattoo?
It's an estimate because, I mean...
How much is the estimate?
I have it right here if you'd like to see it. He believes it to be between $1,440 and $1,800.
Can I see, please?
It depends on the work.
Where is it? Is it on your arm?
It's on both arms. And
got it.
There's not more than $600 left there.
Well, then you should have done it yourself.
I would love to.
Well, you can't because you threatened him. Okay. Now, you also don't mention anywhere the sexual harassment that you talk about. You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, the entire time I worked on him, it was fondling me, grabbing on me. I leave my wife for you the whole time. That's why she's here.
Okay. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. The counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Dewanique Key says her cousin, Datiana Johnson, used her identity during 2 traffic stops. Datiana claims on the first occasion, she was drunk.
You're going to find this really interesting, Bird. Guaranteed. You see, Miss Johnson over here got stopped by the police for a traffic infraction. The first time you were stopped, what kind of violation was it, Miss Johnson?
Speeding.
Speeding? Mm-hmm. And how fast were you going?
I think I was going like 60, I think, 50.
Could you keep your voice up, please?
Like 60 or about 55.
And when she got stopped for speeding, according to the complaint, which is, you know, not disputed by the defendant, she gave her cousin's name. Your cousin?
Yeah. Yes,
she gave her cousin's name because she didn't want to get in trouble. And that worked out just fine, except she never showed up to pay the ticket or anything else. She just let it go. Right?
Yes.
Then she got stopped again. And she figured it worked so well the first time, according to her.
Why not?
She gave her cousin's name again.
This must be her favorite cousin.
And what did you get stopped for the second time, Miss Johnson?
Running a stoplight.
In what jurisdiction do you live?
Los Angeles.
She again gave her cousin's name.
Well, can I explain the first time, you know?
It's not funny. I don't think you're funny. I don't think you're funny at all. So let me go further, and then we're going to get the details of this fiasco, because, you know, I like to sort of lay out the situation. So she gives her cousin's name twice. Her cousin finds out about it. How?
I was getting insurance on my car, and the lady notified me that my license was suspended, and I had 2 tickets on my record. And I could not get insurance until the license was cleared up.
So your license, they suspended your license?
Yes, ma'am.
You're lucky they didn't issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes. And this was, I was driving around. I didn't find out till like 10 months later that my license, it has been suspended 5 months before I even knew about it.
So she and her cousin discuss it, and she decides to do the responsible civic thing and goes to court and pleads guilty.
I plead guilty.
Yeah, she pleads guilty.
Okay.
And and they assess her fines. And this is what the case is about. She wants her cousin to pay the fines, all the fines, for the 2 tickets she got.
Your Honor.
And the cousin says, I don't know. We're family. Because I was trying to understand what your defense is. So before I go on, I want to tell you both the following. What you did was a crime, Miss Key. Do you know that?
No.
Well, I'm going to explain that to you. When you go into court and you pled guilty, someone said to you, raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
And then they said to you, what is your name?
Dwani Key.
And you told them your name.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, how are you pleading?
Guilty.
You said, I'm pleading guilty.
Uh-huh.
And you're pleading guilty because you were guilty.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what you were doing. When you enter a plea of guilty, what you're doing is you are perpetrating a fraud on the court. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a crime. You can't do that. You can't do that. And when you gave her name, that is a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Is this the first time somebody told you it was a crime?
No, it's not.
When for the first time did somebody tell you it was a crime, Miss Johnson?
The second time after I did it.
You mean you didn't know the first time?
Well, the first time I was intoxicated, and I just said the first thing came to my mind.
So not only were you speeding, you were drunk and speeding.
It was my birthday. But I mean, I was turning 21. So I was intoxicated that day.
Judge, the only reason why I pled guilty, she agreed to pay me. So we didn't have to go through all these court processes. She said, I'll pay you for it, don't worry about it. Under that, I said, okay. Once I got that money, I told her, this is how much it costs, you owe me this, and it has to be done by August 8th. That was our court date. I didn't get any money but $50 from her.
Just a second. You have a driver's license?
Yes, I do.
Go get it.
Your Honor, at the time she did.
Get your driver's license.
I didn't bring it with me today.
Go get your pocketbook. Get it and bring it in. Fast. Empty your pocketbook. Is that your driver's license?
My California ID.
I'll take it. Now empty your pocketbook.
I don't have the driver's license here.
Then empty your pocketbook.
You want me to take everything out of my purse?
I want you to give me your driver's license.
I didn't bring it. I didn't drive today.
Unless this court receives your driver's license, madam, within 3 days, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles to confiscate your driver's license. Do we understand each other? Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I ask why, though? I mean, this is
because you perpetrated a fraud on the court. Her driver's license was suspended when yours should have been suspended. Don't you get that?
And I had a fake trip here.
Don't you get that? Your driver's license should have been suspended. You were driving, according to you, drunk. You got a speeding ticket. You gave somebody else's name. The second time, you did the same thing. You ran a red light and gave somebody else's name. And you still have a driver's license. Your driver's license should have been suspended. And if I don't get your driver's license so that you don't have it, it is my intention to inform the police department in Los Angeles, which I may do anyway. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
This belongs to me. Now, you have 30 seconds to tell me why you don't owe those fines.
Because I was under the impression that she did community service.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Well, she told me she was going to do community service.
She's not doing community service for you. Why should she do community service for you? What are you doing?
She was doing it for herself.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Meaning because that's my name.
I don't understand what you mean she was doing it for herself.
Because she called me and told me that the judge ordered her to do community service. So when she told me that, I thought it was taken care of.
What do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm not employed.
How do you support yourself?
I have ways.
How do you support yourself?
My daughter's father.
Supports you?
Child support, basically.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Why don't you work?
I was employed. I just recently stopped.
Why?
I was working through an agency, and they're looking for another job for me.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Cadillac.
I asked you a question. An answer I want.
A Cadillac.
What year?
98.
In whose name is the car?
It's in my name.
Where is it registered?
In Los Angeles.
Yes.
She just got that car, so she had plenty of time to pay me back. This car is brand new. Paid cash.
You must get a lot of child support. In any event, Ms. Key, to whom do you owe the fines?
The Los Angeles District Court from Traffic Division, I believe.
And how much is owed to them?
Roughly $1,700. One ticket was $1,189, and the second ticket was $565.
Now, Ms. Key.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get any award for brains, because what you did was so wrong. And I understand that you may feel as if, well, it's family and you didn't want her to get into trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
But what you did was against the law. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you deserve to have a consequence. I assume that you did already have a consequence.
I had enough.
You had enough?
Yes.
I believe that that's probably true. She hasn't had any yet, but believe me, she's going to have plenty, because she's not going to have a license to drive around in this new Cadillac that's in her name. Because I had this, and the police department is going to be no. You get it? Perfect. $1,754, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Cody Lawrence says ex-girlfriend Melissa Steyer owes for rent and the return of his belongings. Melissa is countersuing, claiming Cody owes her for half of his home's equity.
Mr. Lawrence, you and the defendant were in a relationship for several years. Ms. Steyer has 2 children, 1 child from a previous either marriage or relationship, and 1 child that you have together. According to your complaint, she moved into your home. And after several years, according to you, it wasn't working out because you had met somebody else. Or it wasn't working out and then you met somebody else. I'm not going to get into that because, quite frankly, I don't care. In any event, you left Miss Steyer in the house, even though it was your house, because you agreed to allow her daughter to finish the school year in the house, but you had an agreement. And your agreement was for those months she would pay rent. So far, do I have it down?
Right on.
Mm-hmm. Right on. That's why they pay me the big bucks. You claim she did not pay you rent as she promised she would for the 4 months that she lived there. And in addition, when you returned to the house, either alone or with your new lady friend, you found she had taken property that belonged to you. You want the rent and the property.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Steyer says there was not an agreement for rent. She took only what she came into the relationship with, and she is counterclaiming. She has a rather unique counterclaim. She says she is entitled to half the equity in your home. She will explain that to me. So how long did the 2 of you live together in this house, Mr. Lawrence?
Let's see, I bought the house in October of '99. I signed on there.
And did Ms. Steyer and her daughter move in right away?
Yes.
When you purchased the house?
Yes.
How old is the child that you have together?
6.
Boy or a girl?
Girl.
All right. Miss Dyer, were you working when you moved in?
Yes.
Where were you working?
I was working at a nursing home.
Mr. Lawrence, you and Miss Dyer were together for a substantial period of time. When did you move out of the house in with your girlfriend?
Early February this year.
Did you give Miss Dyer any notice?
When I broke up with her, I told her that we'll try to work as like a roommate type situation, you know, until the school year ends. But that only lasted about a few days. We kept getting into arguments.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's very hard, especially when there's somebody else involved.
Right. So I told her I'd just grab some of my clothes. I'll stay elsewhere. If you pay me $400 a month in rent, I'll pay the other part of the mortgage. And then at the end of the school year, that gives you plenty of time to figure out where you're going to go.
And she moved out in June?
No, well, she was supposed to move out in June, but she moved out like 3 weeks before school let out and didn't tell me about it.
Okay, so she's supposed to be out in June.
Right.
So we're talking about 4 months.
Correct.
From March until June, how much child support did you pay?
None.
Why not?
Because we hadn't established that. I did tell her if she paid the $400 a month in rent, I was going to give her $250 a month in child support. Since I didn't receive any money for rent, I didn't pay the $250.
Then it's a wash, Mr. Lawrence. You got me?
Yeah.
You paying child support now, Mr. Lawrence?
No, that's my next step. I've already gotten in with child support, told them they need to...
Just 1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So is what you're telling me after she moved out, the beginning of June, you paid nothing in child support?
Absolutely nothing, ma'am.
You know that my sympathy level for you is going like this, Mr.
I
Lawrence.
understand. The whole situation is, if I can show you...
Mr. Lawrence. Like that. Now, what items do you claim Dyer took from your house when she left?
Well, basically the house is just about empty. I mean, all she did leave me was a recliner, a coffee table, lamps, and a few items down in the that were in the closet downstairs.
What had you purchased, sir?
We had purchased together a 62-inch big screen TV.
Just a second, so this is something you purchased together?
Yes, ma'am.
With joint money?
Yeah.
So, what do you want me to do about that?
She did not give me a chance to, we wanted to get together and figure out who's going to take what. I mean, she just took everything.
You don't expect me to do that, do you, sir? Mr. Lawrence, I'm going to explain something to you, sir. You were in what you considered a committed relationship, but not one recognized by the state. The state recognizes marriage, and the state has put in an elaborate system, Mr. Lawrence, for how to separate marital property, how to divide it. The state does not condone living together as a relationship, and the state has not put into existence how you divide property purchased with joint money by two people who are almost married, and they do not provide a system of jurisprudence, that would be me, to sit here and figure out how much each of you contributed to the 62-inch television set, or how much each of you contributed to the sofa and love seat, how much you made, how much she made. The state only does that with marrieds. You chose not to get married, she took the property first. I would say the same thing to her. If you took the property first, the state hasn't put into effect a system where I have to waste my time or Bird's money in a public system to figure out who bought the 62-inch television set. You didn't buy it alone? Comes into the category of too bad.
Does that also include items that she took that didn't even belong to either one of us because it was my grandmother's that left for me?
Well, sir, then what you would have to do is to show me a copy of your grandmother's will.
I have a letter here from
Don't show me a letter.
Well, it's an affidavit from the estate.
I want to take a look at an affidavit from the estate that says certain property belongs to you. If she took property that was left to you by your grandmother, she must return it. That's your personal property. You take any property that he got from his grandmother?
The freezer.
The freezer?
Yeah.
You have to return it.
It was given to both of us, though.
No, she only gave it to you because you were with him. Okay. Freezer. That's what you get back, Mr. Lawrence, and I suggest you start paying child support, sir, because despite the fact that there's not a child support order, your child still has to eat. Now, you want to explain to me why you think you're entitled to any equity in this house, Ms. Steyer?
Because I paid on it just as well as he did.
No, you
and,
didn't.
I mean, he had like 11 jobs while we were together for 7 or 8 years.
I would have, at that point, after number 7, I would have said, toodaloo, adios.
Right.
Arrivederci. Instead, what you did is make a baby with him.
Right.
Not swift. What do you want from me? And if you were together when you moved in 1999, you should have been smart enough to say to him, listen, you're buying this house. I want my name on the title. I'm assuming part of the mortgage responsibility. I'll put my name on the mortgage. Then the house is half yours and half mine. You chose not to do that. You lived there like a tenant. The state doesn't put in a system for almost marrieds, Miss Steyer.
Right.
You got it? Mm-hmm. He gets his freezer.
Okay.
26-year-old Jamie Martin is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 25-year-old Thomas Say, for a loan to pay his child support. Thomas claims Jamie gave him the money out of kindness.
Miss Martin, according to what I read, you met the defendant on the internet. You started dating him. He needed some money because he was behind in his child support. You made a loan to him for his child support, and he has to pay you back.
Correct.
Mr. Say acknowledges or says that you gave him money to pay off his child support obligation, but that it was a gift and a nice gesture. That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you meet him?
In August of last year.
And when did he tell you he had a problem with his child support?
Probably around October.
Had he borrowed money before that?
No, but he was living in my house.
He was?
Yes.
When did he move in?
Probably in September.
Met him in August, moved in September.
Yeah, bad choice.
Bad choice, very bad choice. You work?
I'm a part-time cashier.
What do you do for the rest of the time?
Oh, nothing. I'm trying to go full-time.
How do you support yourself?
With my job.
As a part-time cashier, who pays your rent?
I have a mortgage. I pay myself.
What's your mortgage?
$530.
Do you have any other source of income?
I sold a house in Florida. I still have a little bit of money left from that.
You're living in California?
No, South Carolina.
What prompted you to move from Florida to South Carolina?
My parents moved up there and they gave me some land.
Parents subsidize you?
Meaning?
Give you money?
No.
How much do you make from being a part-time cashier?
$8.
Where did you get the $3,000 from that you loaned to him?
When I sold my house in Florida, I had money in the bank that I was saving.
Show me that you withdrew $3,000 and gave it to me. When was he supposed to pay you back?
It was supposed to be an every month payment, no less than $100.
And when did you stop seeing him?
I kicked him out of the house in November.
Why?
Because he was getting to the point where all he wanted to do was go drinking and not coming home at night, so I decided I didn't want to put up with that.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
How many children do you have, Mr. Say?
1.
How old?
2.
And where does that child live?
With me and my wife. She didn't kick me out. I was separated. And when I went back to my wife, I left her.
Okay.
That's when all this came to
Okay.
the head.
Fine. But she gave you money for child support.
Yes.
Why were you behind in your child support payments?
It was based on income that I wasn't making any longer.
Because you can't hold a job.
Listen, Ms. Martin.
I'm sorry.
They based the money that I was making when the child support was set up was based on about $70,000 to $75,000 a year. I was making about half of that. Every month when I would send money, it fell further and further behind. We were supposed to revisit the issue in November. However, right before the court came, that's when she gave me $3,000. It was a gift.
It's your kid!
Yes, ma'am.
You idiot! It's not hers. If you fall behind in your child support, you pay for it. That's what it is. It's for a parent to pay child support. What's wrong with you? Don't you have any pride at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is it? Show me. Where is it?
I left it at the house.
Right. I don't think you're adorable, sir. She may have found you marginally attractive when she allowed you to move into her house for some bizarre reason. I have to tell you, whatever it is that you think you have, it eludes me.
I'm sorry,
It eludes
Your Honor.
me, sir.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It eludes me. You know, there are acts sometimes of sheer desperation that bring people together. You are one of those sheer desperations. When you have an order for child support, you live up to your responsibility, and you do not rely on strangers to take care of it. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why in the world your wife took you back, I have no clue. You have family that's living?
Yes.
They must have prayed very hard for her to take you back.
Must have.
It is not Miss Martin's obligation to support your kid, which is a boy or a girl.
Little girl.
Wonderful. I'm sure you absolutely adore her. Has Miss Martin ever met her?
No, ma'am.
Never even exchanged a meal with her. Why in the world do you think that she'd want to put bread on her table?
She offered it when I went. We were...
Well, he's going to answer me. He's going to answer this question. rather than just accept his whooping, he is going to actually answer this question. Let me explain something to you, sir. Where do you come from?
South Carolina.
I do not find you adorable. I find nothing about you adorable. I think that you're an irresponsible fool. You owe her $3,000. Pay her. That's all.
Crystal Anderson says former roommate Dr. Leonardo Rodriguez owes for the return of her security deposit. Leonardo is countersuing for the return of a computer modem.
Miss Anderson, you rented a room from the defendant in his house?
In a house, yes.
In a house. Do you live in the house also, sir?
Yes, I do.
And the intention was for you to live there for a year, although you did not have a written lease?
Correct.
It was your understanding that there was some sort of internet capacity in the house because you worked from the house?
Correct.
Did you have a discussion with the defendant about that?
About it before I moved in or it
Yes,
not working?
before.
Yes.
In any event, you moved in and you found out that you could not work from the house because there was no, I don't know, Zoom, internet, whatever it is. I don't do that machine. And you told him you were going to be moving out.
After it did
You
not
want
work.
your security deposit back. The defendant says that you broke the lease that you had with him because he was supposed to stay there for a year, even though you did not have a written lease. And even though he rented your apartment or your room, he doesn't have an obligation to return your security deposit. In addition, he says that you took a piece of property that belonged to the house, some sort of a modem. So let's get to his counterclaim to begin with. Do you have his modem?
No.
Did you take his modem?
No.
What makes you think she took your modem?
Well, I have a photograph of the modem in the house under her desk at the time that she moved out, and it's gone along with the other property. So I can only assume that she has it along with the other things that were in the room.
Is it possible you have his modem somewhere?
I did look. I don't have it. But I can also tell you that the desk that it was behind, I didn't remove from the room.
Who did?
The roommate that moved in. He had to disassemble it.
Okay, I removed the desk along with the roommate and removed the plasma television from the wall and put it outside.
She doesn't have your modem. She doesn't have your modem, and she does look like a thief.
I agree.
Good. So we've taken care of your counterclaim.
Well,
she doesn't have
well,
it.
not quite. I don't know if she has it.
She says she doesn't have it, and you have no proof that she took it.
I have proof that it was under her desk at the time that she moved out, and now it's nowhere to be found. Time
Well,
Warner,
you have a new roommate in there.
Right.
Maybe the new roommate took it when you were disassembling it.
We've gone through the entire room. We've
Just a
looked for
second.
it.
I didn't say that you haven't gone through the entire room. Maybe he took it. Maybe he's the thief. You don't think so?
Well, I never
No,
actually...
no. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she is either. Doesn't a lady who has a responsible position, who gave you a substantial security deposit, who paid her rent on time when she was living there, would steal something from you and then look at me in the eye and say, I don't have it. I didn't take it. I don't have it.
I mean, you say that she's a responsible person. I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, who agrees to a one-year lease and then leaves 4 months after it?
I'm going to tell you somebody, sir. She. And now she's going to tell me why she left. You gave him a security deposit in the amount of $2,500?
The security deposit was just $1,250.
Okay.
It was in addition
and
to
it's
personal
clear,
rent.
Mr. Rodriguez, because there's no allegation, that she left the room in other than reasonable conditions. So the only reason you're not returning her security deposit is because she breached the lease.
Correct.
Okay. When did you move in?
August 10th.
Did you pay August's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
What about October?
Paid the rent in full.
And November?
Paid the rent in full.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you tell the defendant that you were leaving?
In the middle of October.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that the internet continued to have problems and would continually break down, and therefore I would spend numerous hours continuing to try to make it work, try to connect it, and if it didn't, I'd have to call Time Warner.
And what did he say?
He said that he didn't realize that it was that big of an inconvenience, that he would have done more about it if he'd known that it was going to make me move out of the house.
The first time that I had heard that it was a problem was at the point that she was moving out. I had no idea when she moved in that she was planning to run her business or her part of her business out of the room.
Did she tell you that she needed internet connection, sir?
Absolutely.
And what did you tell her about it?
That there's internet connection that we all use. All 4 other people that live in the house are still to this day using an internet connection. However, it doesn't run at the speed that she needs to run her business. I never knew that she needed a specific speed to be run.
Is it slow running?
It runs average. It runs normal for me.
It would break down in my part of the room. It was split. The last time Time Warner had come to the house, they had spliced it so many times, according to what they say, that they would
tell me what they said to you. But you told him in mid-October.
Mm-hmm.
And you moved out in December.
December 1st.
When did the new roommate move in?
December 6th.
The new roommate's name is?
Lee.
How much was your rent each month?
$1,250.
And what is Lee's rent?
$1,250.
Did he pay December's rent?
Not in full.
In what amount did he not pay?
He paid minus 5 days of rent. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount.
Okay. Did you have all your property out by December 1st?
Minus a plasma TV and a desk.
So you did not have all your property out by December 1st?
Correct.
When was all of your property out?
I know for sure it was all out as of the 4th.
So you overstayed your stay by 4 days?
Yes.
Okay. You cannot profit, sir, from a situation that was handled totally appropriately. She did not damage the property. She gave you notice.
She absolutely did damage the property, Your Honor. I have proof that she damaged the property.
Oh, well, you didn't say that. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I want to see if you said that in your answer. Did you? Would you please show this to Mr. Rodriguez? That's his sworn answer. Would you please have him point out in his answer where he says that he's not returning her security deposit because she damaged the property?
I asked her to remove the trash, but she never did. I had to hire a repairman to clean out the trash, repair the walls, and change the locks.
Repair what walls, sir?
So the plasma television that she says that she moved out, or that I took down myself and put outside, left behind a number of large holes in the wall.
Show me your bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
This is the bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
Okay.
This is the estimate that it would have cost to remove all of those things and put them outside.
No. All I want is the fixing the holes in the wall.
Your Honor, if I was...
Why did you change the locks?
Well, I didn't know Crystal before she moved in, and I...
Sir, you want to change the locks, change the locks. That's what you do as a landlord.
But, Your Honor, if I was in the business of being a landlord and...
Listen to me, sir. I want to see a picture of the wall, and I want to see a bill for spackling the hole in the wall. Period. Okay.
Your Honor, we had a one-year lease agreement.
You did not have a one-year lease, sir. One-year lease has to be in writing. Otherwise, it's a month-to-month. She gave you a month's notice. She gave you more than a month's notice.
Your Honor, we had a verbal lease agreement.
No, you have a lease agreement, sir, when it's in writing if it's for a year or more. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. And if you want something more than that, and if you want to lay out your rights and responsibilities, go get a form lease and sign it, and then you have a lease for a year or more. Do you understand? The only reason I am charging her the extra days is because she actually had property in your house. And if she actually has property, even if it's in the hall, that means she's still a tenant. So she didn't vacate December 1st. She actually kept property there for at least 4 days. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for the 5th day because that's when you moved the new roommate in. So I am deducting $200.
Your Honor, the lease that you say is month-to-month. If I was interested in a beach rental for month-to-month, I would have charged much more than $1,250 a month.
Do whatever you want to do. You want to lease your place for a year or more, get a written lease that outlines everybody's responsibility. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. Most jurisdictions that I know. Now, it may be different from where you are, but any contract that has a duration for a year or more is supposed to be in writing. And if you choose not to do that, you do so at your own peril, sir. And you cannot profit from it. You didn't lose any money. You rented the room and took an additional security deposit. You didn't lose a month's rent. Miss Anderson did absolutely the appropriate thing. She let you know in October that she was vacating in December, so she gave you more than 30 days to find a new roommate. You did, in fact, find a new tenant who paid you the exact same amount of money that she did, and I'm deleting from her request the amount that covers the 5 days that your tenant didn't pay for the month of December, giving you more than she's actually liable for because she's not liable for more than 30 days. But she kept stuff there, so she is, in fact, responsible for at least part of it. So you owe her $950. I am taking off $200 for the overstay because you lived there past December 1st, and I'm taking off $100 to plaster the wall. Okay. By the way, where did the new tenant put his TV?
He doesn't have a hanging television.
$950. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
24-year-old Nicole Johnson is suing her neighbor, 23-year-old Sally Jones, for the cost to fix her car. Nicole claims Sally's son, 5-year-old Darian, scratched her paint job with rocks.
Miss Johnson, your complaint is that Miss Jones's son, that would be this little tyke over here, vandalized your car with some sort of an implement. You want her to pay for the damage. Miss Jones says, well, she's not sure if her son did it, and if he did it, he had an accomplice of similar age, and why aren't you suing the accomplice too? That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Miss Jones, let me ask you this question. If you believe that your son was responsible for part of the damage, you would acknowledge that and would be prepared to pay for part of the damage. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
What proof do you have that Miss Jones's son, because you didn't see it, vandalized your car?
I have a witness who says she saw him do it.
Okay. When did this happen?
July 11th at approximately 7:30, 8 a.m.
And the witness that you had would be this little girl?
Mm-hmm.
And she's 5?
Yes.
Whose child is she?
One of our other neighbors. Her name's Angela Twyman.
And what's her name?
Michaela.
Michaela, would you like to come up and talk to me?
Okay. You all right? Okay.
Hi, Michaela. You know who I am? You don't know? Do you know why you're here? And you don't know why you're here. Who did you come with today? Oh, I see this is going to be interesting. Do you know this little boy? Is he a friend of yours? Do you know Miss Jones? Is she a neighbor of yours? Can you talk? Can you tell me your full name? Let me hear.
Michaela.
And what's your last name, Michaela?
Michaela and Twyman.
Do you want to talk to me about what happened with Miss Johnson's car? You want to tell me what happened? Okay, tell me what happened.
He spit on the car.
He spit on the car? Did you see him do that? Did you see him do anything else to the car, Michaela? What else did you see him do?
He scratched it.
What did he scratch it with?
A rock.
Did you see him with the rock in his hand? Did you have a rock in your hand? Was anybody else with him when he had the rock in his hand?
No.
But you're sure you saw him scratch the car with a rock? After you saw him scratch the car, Michaela, did you go and tell anybody? Who did you tell?
His parents.
His parents? Oh, did you tell them right away? Okay. You can go and sit down now. Thank you. Michaela came and told you that about that?
No, ma'am.
She never came and told you that?
No, ma'am.
Did she tell you?
I called. I assume that from the way the marks are, they're huge, just circles, scribbles, they're all at very low positions. I assumed it was a child, and I assumed that if I asked enough children, one of them would tell on the other. So I called her parents and I said, you know, later on today when the kids are home, please ask them if they saw anyone playing around Miss Nikki's car. And in the background, I could hear her say, I did, I saw Darian. And her mom said, well, will you do me a favor? Will you go outside and on Mommy's car, will you touch the spots that you saw him touching on Miss Nikki's car? And she said, okay, she's touching the hood, the driver's side door, and the passenger door on the same side as the driver's side. And she said, is that right? And I said, yeah, that's exactly where the damage is.
Tell me your name.
Darian.
Darian, I want you to come up here and sit up here and talk to me. Trouble, a handful.
Yes, thank you. I do know that.
A handful.
Okay. Tell the judge, okay?
Me and Michaela did it.
You and Michaela both did it? Well, tell me how that happened, Darian.
Me and Michaela had rocks.
Well, how many rocks did you have in your hand?
1.
And where did you get the rock from?
Off the ground.
And what about Michaela? Did she have a rock too?
Yeah.
So why did you decide to scratch Miss Johnson's car?
I don't know.
Well, does your mom have a car?
Yeah, gray.
Hmm?
Gray.
She has a gray car. Darian, if you saw children scratching your mother's car, would you be angry with them? Because that's not the right thing to do, right? And your mommy would be very upset that somebody scratched her car, wouldn't she? She would be sad. Are you ever going to do that again? Because you know you can get into trouble for doing that to other people's property, right? How many marks did you make on the car? And how many marks did Michaela make on the car? So you made more marks than Michaela. Did Michaela make bigger marks than you or littler marks than you? She made smaller marks than you. Show me with your hands how big were the marks that you made on the car. Big ones. And she made little ones. Is that right? She made little ones, and show me your size. The ones you made were bigger ones. Now, when your mom asked you about Miss Johnson's car, did you tell her the truth right away?
My dad.
You told your dad the truth right away? And what did you tell him?
I scratched it.
And when did you tell your mom and your dad that Michaela was there too?
I didn't tell him. I only told my dad.
When did you tell your dad that Michaela was there too? Did you tell him right away, or did you tell him later?
Right away.
Go and step down. I have a feeling he did a little more damage than Michaela did, but my sense is that Michaela was there. Made a few little marks. Miss Johnson, I know that you don't like to believe it, but cute little Michaela scratched your car. She didn't do as much damage as this little guy did. And in his own 5-year-old way, he really told me the truth about that, because I don't know how many scratches were on the car, but clearly he said he did more than she did. And when I asked him, you saw, how big were her scratches? He said, well, they were really teeny. Mine were bigger. Well, one gets the sense that at least he's telling the truth, that there was some co-participation.
And she said that she helped him wipe them off with the spit so that he wouldn't get into trouble. That's what she told her mom.
Oh, okay.
She said, I helped, he spit all over the car, and I helped him rub them off, but they weren't coming off.
Okay. So you get it, that Michaela's folks have to be responsible for some of the damage to the car.
I also have rental car receipts because they said it's going to take 4 to 5 days. So I have $182.04 because they won't do it on the weekend, not all of it, and I work about 45 minutes from home.
Okay.
So I have a rental car receipt for $182.04.
$422, that's half. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $422. Thank you.
He's
Thank you.
excused.
Smart but a handful, Miss Jones.
Thank you.
Tony Paternetti claims Jason Schnell vandalized his place of business when he recklessly drove a vehicle onto the property.
Mr. Paternetti, according to your complaint, it is your belief and your claim that the defendant caused substantial damage to buildings of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
With his vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell says he didn't do it. So, first, when was the damage to your buildings?
December 6th of last year, Your Honor.
What kind of buildings were there?
It was a fenced-in area where I keep some construction material and a metal building, a steel building. I drew a diagram, if I could show you that.
First, I'd like to see the damage done to the buildings. You have photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
There wasn't a tornado in your area, was there?
Not at that time, Your Honor.
No. And when you left, you said it was December of '06. What date in December?
December 6th.
On the 5th, were you at the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Building's okay?
It was fine when I left around 6 p.m.
Fence was okay?
Yes, everything was okay. No tornadoes that night.
So now I see the damage. How much in dollars was the damage that was
I estimated
caused?
around $4,600, Your Honor.
How do you get to that estimate, Mr. Petty?
I'm a licensed contractor. I brought a copy of my contractor's license, and I actually believe I estimated it low since I can do most of the work myself.
You have to replace the fence in the shed?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to try to explain to me, since I gather from your papers you did not see Mr. Schnell.
That's correct.
Cause this damage. What evidence do you have that he caused the damage?
Well, Your Honor, can I show you at first what I thought happened to the property?
No, don't tell me what you thought. I'm not interested in what you thought.
Okay, the reason I think it was Mr. Snell is when he hit the concrete sidewalk here, he blew out a tire, left gouge marks on the concrete, knocked down all of this, and there was gouge marks all along the property, and we followed the gouge marks down here, and I could actually see where the gouge marks on the road on
You mean the gouge marks on the road from being driven on the tire rim?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Got it.
He turned up, I could see where they crossed the street and turned up 90th Avenue. At the time I was looking, a friend of mine and his son came down.
It's hearsay.
Okay. Well, I think that's a key evidence, Your Honor, that someone
Well,
told
I don't
us.
care if it's key evidence or not, sir. That's hearsay. What somebody else told you, an out-of-court statement, is not admissible in court for the truth of that statement. So right now, you're following the gouge marks.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, at that point, the police went up this street. I didn't go.
You did not go with them?
No, I didn't. They went past this house, down here where they found Mr. Snell's vehicle.
Just a second. Only if you have a police report that indicates that.
I do have a police report,
I'd like
Your
to
Honor.
take a look at that. Police observe in their report that the damage appears to have been done by somebody doing donuts on the property with their car and lost control and struck the concrete pad, causing the right front tire to blow out, which caused damage to the rim. And then the writer observed pieces of the rim on the concrete pad. The writer observed gouge marks on the concrete from the broken rim. Then it ran into a chain link fence. Writer recovered various pieces from the rim and also the passenger's side mirror and what appeared to be a fog lamp. Then the police found the defendant's car, Mr. Schnell. That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up on your own 2 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And found that the mirror that was located at the location matched that of the subject vehicle. Coincidence.
Big coincidence, Your
Speak
Honor.
not!
Yes, ma'am.
And the writer, that would be the police, also observed that pieces of the rim that were found at the incident location also matched that of the subject's vehicle. That would be you.
My turn?
Look at me. Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. I was just
I don't
gonna
want
grab...
you to look down at anything.
Oh, no. I was just grabbing the pictures. I have evidence also. There's no way that my Jeep could have done that damage to his property, ma'am.
What kind of car do you... Put it down. What kind of car do you have?
98 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
How much did you pay for it?
About $5,000.
Did you take good care of the car?
Oh, no, ma'am, I did not.
So you acted irresponsibly towards the car.
Oh, I did.
Where did you
Yes,
get the $5,000 from to buy the car?
Just...
Don't look over there.
Yes, ma'am. I just gotten off a deployment, ma'am, from Iraq, so I had a lot of money in the bank.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, about a day prior to the incident, ma'am, I had totaled my Jeep. I was driving along the road. I was speeding like...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Day before,
Yes, ma'am.
you totaled the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you did that.
My tire...
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. My tire blew out, and I went
Which tire?
My right front tire, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out.
Yes, ma'am.
How did it blow out, Mr. Schnell?
I don't know how it blew out, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out, and?
I went crashing into trees. I got pictures here that shows the trees that I crashed into.
I'd like to take
shows
a
the
look.
brake marks.
I'd like to take a look at the tree you crashed into.
Yes, ma'am.
And that wasn't anywhere near his building, was it?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Good.
You look at the pictures, you won't see a building around it.
And I want to see the car.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
took pictures
Yes, ma'am.
of the tree. Very nice. And now I want to see a picture of the car. Totaled undrivable?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It was completely undrivable.
Completely.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it would start, ma'am, but...
Don't speak. I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went into a tree. How far away from where you live?
A couple miles, ma'am. About 2 or 3.
Would it be anywhere in this area that's on the bottom?
I can show you on the map, ma'am.
Sure.
It would be out this way if the map extended further.
Okay, good. So it would be all the way over there.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did the car get back to your house?
I rode it home on the rim, ma'am.
I thought you told me that it was not drivable, sir.
It was...
Listen to me. You just told me a moment ago, Mr. Schnell,
Yes, ma'am.
that the car was not drivable.
Not safely drivable anyway, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell, this is not going to go well for you, sir. For you to drive it home.
Well,
on the
Limpet
rim.
Home's more like it, ma'am.
No. You either call the police.
The
No,
way I
that's what
figured
you
it is
do.
if I called the police and I filled out an accident report and everything and go back to my insurance company, and most of those damages on there, I can just get the parts from a junkyard or something and fix it
Now,
cheaper
one
than
of the
deductible
things
would
that
be.
was damaged on your car, sir, is a side view mirror that's missing.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not
Just a sec. I'm speaking. A side view. So far, does it look as if I need your help?
I have some other pictures I want to show, Your Honor.
I'm not finished with him yet. So far we have a right front tire
Yes, ma'am.
that matches the right front tire at his place of business, and a side view mirror also found at his place of business, also missing from your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Coincidence.
I'm
I'm
not-
speaking coincidence. Either it's a coincidence or it's on purpose.
It's coincidence, ma'am.
Coincidence.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have a fog lamp
Yes, ma'am.
also missing from your car.
I'm not
No.
disputing that my car was crashed, ma'am.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am. Also missing.
That the police found on his property.
Yes, ma'am. Also, if you'll look at that picture, though, ma'am, did they find my bumper on his property?
Just a second.
Did
Let
they
me,
find
let me,
anything
let
else
me
that was
explain
missing from the
something
car,
to you,
ma'am?
sir. I don't answer your questions.
Yes, ma'am.
That is not my job.
Yes, ma'am.
At what rank did you leave the military?
Lance Corporal, ma'am.
What was a step above Lance Corporal?
Corporal.
Corporal. And above that?
Sergeant.
Did you speak back to your sergeant?
I did
Not
when
if
I
you
was right,
wanted to
ma'am.
live, right?
I did when I was right, ma'am.
Well, maybe that's why you chose not to make the Army a career.
Marine Corps, ma'am.
So now we have the coincidence of right front tire, side view mirror, and fog lamp, all retrieved at his place of business after the police, according to this, followed the rim marks back to your house.
There is no way that I could have drove that car that night because the tire was already blown out.
That's if I believe that you went into a tree the day before. That's if I believe that, sir. You're starting out with a premise that is not necessarily true.
I have a witness that can say for sure that my Jeep was wrecked on the night in question.
You mean that's him?
Yes, ma'am.
If I were to call you up here, would you tell me that the Jeep was wrecked the day before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, right. Now, when you got home, just for my own curiosity, when you got home on the 5th after you wrecked this vehicle and you live with your, look at me, with him? I'm asking you a question.
Oh, me, ma'am? I thought you were talking to him again.
No,
Sorry about
my
that.
eyes looked at the person I'm talking to.
Yes, ma'am. No, I live at home, ma'am, with my family.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am.
Mother and father?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide the police with your mother and father's names so that they could confirm this story that you told about your car being damaged the day before? The answer is either yes or... Okay. Now I'll see your pictures.
Thank you. These are actual police photographs, Your Honor, when the police went to his house. And these photos are still in evidence that show the fog lamp in question and the mirror and some parts for the rim.
I'd like to see
that the police matched to the vehicle, and I've also found more pieces on my property since I've been doing the cleanup.
Okay, just a second. So the mirror that was found, which is primarily what I'm looking at, the paint is the same color as his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's see what else we have. So we have
And you
right
can see-
front tire, side view mirror, the same color as the side view mirror would have been from his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
All found on your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do now, Mr. Schnell?
I'm unemployed, ma'am,
How long have you been unemployed?
since end of November.
Why?
Unemployment pays better than Walmart.
So your parents just let you sort of hang around after you... When did you come out of the service?
My EAS was November 26th.
Of '06?
Yes, ma'am.
So you stayed home December, January, February. At this point, it's time for you to get into gear, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
First, you pay him the money that you owe him, $4,600. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Amanda Peters claims ex-roommate Holly Ward owes for breaking an apartment lease, stealing money from her wallet, and for damaging her car.
Ms. Peters, you and Miss Ward were roommates. It is your claim that after a failed road trip that didn't work out as well as you expected, Ms. Ward decided to stay home.
Yes.
And she left you in the lurch with the lease. You want her to pay the rent. In addition, you say that she stole some money from you and that she at some point damaged your car. You want her to pay for that.
Yes.
Ms. Ward says she was pregnant, decided to stay home with her parents, I assume, that she denies taking any of your money, and she says that the damage to the car just didn't happen. She also says that your boyfriend moved in with you into the apartment and he wasn't paying his fair share of the rent. So, is this your boyfriend?
Yes.
How many people signed the lease to the apartment?
2, me and Holly.
Did Holly have a boyfriend living with her?
No.
But your boyfriend was living with you?
He wasn't living there. He was.
Yeah, he is.
Yes,
he lives
was.
there. He lives there. Don't tell me he wasn't living there. He lives there. Don't speak unless I speak to you. You want me to get the address that you listed, sir, when you filled out the forms for this program? Do you
Yes.
want me to get the forms that you filled out with the
Yes.
address?
I put 718.
And who lives there?
My mother.
What's your mother's phone number?
She doesn't have a phone.
Oh, everybody has a phone,
But
sir.
there's a number you could reach her at, but she
Every-
don't have a phone herself.
You get what I'm saying to you, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. When did you sign this lease with the defendant?
On December 1st, 2006.
And when did you take this road trip?
In the beginning of April, like April.
April 15th.
Where's the father of this baby that you're having?
In Ohio.
And where are you living now?
Alabama.
Who went on the road trip?
The 3 of us.
Whose car did you use?
Amanda's.
You got stopped and you were all arrested for drug possession, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What happened with your case?
I had 2 years probation.
What about you?
I just got charged as a misdemeanor and got fined.
She got charged with all that because she was pregnant.
I got charged
doing
with
drugs while
misdemeanor
she
and got
was
a
pregnant.
We all three got, well, me and Amanda got charged with possession too.
And what about you?
I did 31 days because wouldn't nobody sign for me.
No, he got 30 days because he had prior possessions.
No, I got 30 days. That is untrue, Your Honor.
Now, what is the rent?
It's $500 a month.
Stand up. Your last name?
Lucky, L-U-C-K-E-Y.
I'm not so sure.
I heard that.
Who do you work for?
I work for Ford.
What do you do for them?
We call offices.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Peters?
I'm a waitress.
Fine. Mr. Lucky,
Yes.
you may have to kick in for some rent, sir. Do you understand?
I wasn't standing there at the time.
Well, now
Yes,
I'm.
he was.
Now, just a second.
No, I wasn't.
Just a second. Now you can stay there.
Well, she shouldn't have signed
Lucky,
my lease.
Mr. Lucky, when did you arrive from Ohio?
We arrived Tuesday.
You arrived Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Shh.
Yes.
And where are you staying?
I'm staying at the Sheraton Hotel.
And where are you staying, Miss Peters?
At the Sheraton Hotel.
In the same room?
Yes.
And when you go back to Ohio, you're going to go back and stay with your mother. Is that what you're telling me?
And yes.
I'm
after
giving you
this case
permission. You
matter.
could stay with Miss Peters.
I didn't
And now
want to
you're
stay
going to
with
pay.
her because
And now
of
you're
this
going to
issue.
pay the rent. Sit down. Who brought the marijuana into the car?
All three of us did.
It wasn't mine.
No.
All
Holly
three of
did.
us did. All three
Holly
of us
did.
did. We all three went to jail for the possession.
It's not what I asked you. I said, who brought it into the car?
Holly.
Holly.
Lucky. I didn't. Lucky sells marijuana.
Okay.
That's
No,
his
no,
job
that's
prior
a lie.
to
Not
2
true.
months before. He didn't have this job now.
That's a lie. She
Now,
made that up.
Now, when is your baby due?
I already had him.
You already
June
had your baby.
29th, yes.
And who's taking care of your baby now?
My mother.
Baby healthy?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't stupid enough to smoke marijuana while you were pregnant,
Actually, I
were
was.
you? Yeah.
That's how she got 2 years.
That's,
Was drinking and a whole bunch of other stuff. She
I
did
didn't
while she
drink
was
with my
pregnant.
baby. My baby was perfectly
Yes, you
healthy,
did.
born 4 weeks early, didn't need anything. 6 pounds, 8 ounces.
great. Okay. So now, Miss Peters,
Yes.
now you have your boyfriend living with you. How big is this apartment, by the way?
It's a 2-bedroom apartment.
Well, Your Honor, at first, when I first moved in with Amanda, it was in March of 2005. Lucky moved in June of 2005. We were all living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Then his cousin moved in, Lewis, with his baby mama, Shataya. We all 5 lived there. I still paid half the rent.
Just
They
a
didn't pay
second.
nothing.
No.
Just a second. How long?
And his cousin got a job at our job.
Just a second. How long did his cousin and his
They lived
baby
there.
mama live there?
They lived there from
What?
October till December when we got our 2-bedroom and they got their 1-bedroom apartment.
What's your cousin's name?
My cousin's name is Lewis, and he was not living there.
Yes, he was, Your Honor.
Listen,
Okay,
I
he'll
am very,
move
very
from
unhappy
Denver.
about
Yeah.
this whole situation. All I can tell you, Miss Peters, is now you can have your boyfriend full-time. Your boyfriend of 6 years full-time. He's going to live with you and he's going to pay the rent. You get nothing from her. Next. Now, let's talk about this stolen money. You say that she stole money from you.
Yes.
You
No,
know
from
this.
her and her
Shh,
boyfriend.
I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
I'm not happy with you either. Anyone who smokes dope while they're pregnant is an idiot. Now, tell me about this alleged money.
All right. I gave my boyfriend $300 to put up for me. I was going to put my car in the shop and have some work done to it. Well, I picked him up one night. He was going to come spend the night with me. The wallet came up missing that night while he was at the house. Yeah, I went to drop him off the next morning, and the wallet wasn't there.
And
he said it was Holly all along. I mean, I really didn't think it was at first, but I found the wallet in her room when I was cleaning it out after she left.
Where's the wallet?
It's right here.
Let me see it.
Can I?
Shh.
Okay.
When, for the first time, did you tell Holly about the missing wallet?
I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell her?
No, she was in Alabama when I found it.
You didn't call her?
No.
No, I'm not saying when you found it. Listen to me. Miss Peters, when the wallet came up missing, she had to have been there. Otherwise, how could she
Yeah.
get it? Not from Ohio to Alabama.
No,
she has
it
that
was
very
months
long
ago.
arms. Now, so when did you first discuss with her the fact that this wallet was missing?
Oh, it was around the time when we moved into our 2-bedroom apartment. So
And
around
how long did you live
December-
in the 2-bedroom apartment?
I'm still there now. So from December until now.
How long did she live there?
until April 15th.
So the wallet came up missing in December?
Yes.
And you found it when?
When I came back May 9th or 8th, I mean.
Yeah, do me a favor. Return that to her. Tell me about the damaged car.
She damaged my car, parallel parking it.
When?
In November, the first week of
November of 06?
Yes, ma'am.
Show me the bill where you had it fixed.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet. I haven't had the money. But I have an estimate from where we both took it in. She came with me when I got the estimate.
Oh, well, tell me how it happened.
Oh, she parallel. He was in the car. I wasn't in the car. She asked to borrow my car one day, and she brought it back with these scratches on the front bumper.
Let
he
me
was
see
in
the
car.
pictures of the front bumper. How did you scratch the bumper?
I didn't scratch the front of her car.
Who did?
Lucky. He was on his way to school in November, and at a red light, he hit the back of another car.
I have a picture of the truck that she hit also with the dent in the bumper where she hit
She says it was Lucky.
That's
It
a lie,
wasn't.
Your Honor.
She went with me when I got the statement.
I did not go with her. I was at work when she got that statement done with Lucky.
She had borrowed Amanda's car, and I needed to go home that following morning.
He was
And
living
she
with
had-
us. Why would I take him home?
don't want you to interrupt. If you interrupt again, it's not going to be good for you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So on the way taking me home to my mother's house, she was trying to parallel park in front of another car, and she hit the back.
On the way, she was trying to parallel park?
No, when we got to my mother's house.
Why park if she was just dropping you off?
Because she was parking to drop me off.
Why was she parking to drop you off? Why didn't you just come?
She was the driver.
Yeah, I don't believe it. Goodbye. You all deserve each other. That's it. Case is dismissed. Take him outside for a
Julie and David Cotton are suing family friend, 18-year-old Dylan Strittmatter, for crashing a golf cart during their wedding reception. Dylan claims he is not guilty.
Who was getting married?
Julie and I.
According to your complaint, Miss Cotton, your family lives on the river.
Correct.
Is that where the wedding was?
Yes.
The defendant is the son of an old family friend, and because there was so much land and the venue was spread out, you rented 2 golf carts to sort of help people get from one place to another, especially people who might have been a little older. Those golf carts were just rented for the event. It is your claim that the defendant, without permission, drove one of those golf carts and damaged it. You're being charged by the rental company for the damage to the golf cart, and you want him to pay for it.
Correct.
Who saw Mr. Strittmatter riding the golf cart?
Tristan Hall.
How old are you, Mr. Hall?
18.
What do you know about Mr. Strittmatter and the golf cart?
Well, I was the guy in charge of taking people to and from the parking to the wedding, and we were at the reception.
At the golf cart, with a
Right.
golf cart.
Right. And after the wedding, we went to the reception, and we had the 2 golf carts parked over there. And we were all sitting around eating, and I saw them take off in the golf cart, and we just went out. I went out there after them to see what.
Saw who taking off?
Dylan and Greg.
That's Dylan would be you?
Yes.
And who's Greg?
I'm Greg.
Perfect, I love it. No, I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Well,
I didn't ask you to go over there yet.
Okay. That is a lot.
I didn't go over. Go ahead.
Okay, so I went out there, and we were just riding. We were riding around for a little while.
Who was riding around?
Me, Dylan, and Greg.
How did you get on the golf cart?
Because I went out there. When I saw him riding around, I walked out there.
So you walked outside, and the 3 of you got on the golf cart.
Right. Well, they were on it first. I went out there after they were already on it. I went out there.
Who drove?
They were driving. We all took turns driving.
Who drove first?
Tristan drove first, but there's also a 4th person in the party. Their son Chase was also in the golf cart, and he also drove it with us.
Is that right?
Chase was in the golf cart, yes.
So who drove first?
I guess I drove first.
Who drove second?
Chase drove second.
Who drove third?
I drove third.
All right, what happened next?
Okay, so we're driving around, and we were just driving around with the golf cart, and after a little while, I said, okay, we should probably bring this back. So we were on our way back down this road, and that's whenever he thought he could make it through these 2 rocks, if that's what you want to call them. They were more like boulders, and then he just ran into one of them.
Now, did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in that golf cart at that time?
In the back of my mind, I did.
And did you know you weren't supposed to be Hey, did you look at me? Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around in the golf cart at that time?
Yes, I knew that.
Did you know you weren't supposed to be driving around at that time? And I assume he wasn't supposed to be driving around that time.
That's correct.
So what are you suing him for?
Because he had been drinking at the wedding at my mom's, and I had told him to put it down, and I saw them take off, but mind you, I'm in the middle of my reception, and I heard them, and so did my friends, hear them screaming, "Come on, let's go get on the golf cart." It was just those two, and they were drunk at our wedding. They did take it. The owner of the...
Your son was there. How old is he?
13.
What'd you do to him?
Actually, both of my sons had told them, and so had Tristan, to stop, and he
They
was
were
driving
driving
erratically.
around in the golf cart.
Well, a little more than driving. He was driving erratically.
Just a second. Where do you think it's all his responsibility?
Because he was told to put it back, and he didn't.
Who told him to put it back?
All of them.
They did not. They were driving around with it. They did not tell him to put it back. What are you, nuts? Listen, Miss Cotton.
Yes.
If you're telling me that you saw them get in the golf cart and drive around with it, and you didn't leave your reception to go and stop them from driving around with it.
My oldest son actually did.
He's not here. You, not your son. Your 13-year-old was in the golf cart.
Right, but my oldest son also took the keys from them.
Did you see that?
No, but they all told me, and the
They
owner
can't
of the
tell
golf
you anything,
cart.
Miss Cotton. You have a responsibility. A golf cart is an attractive nuisance. That's what it is for young people. That's why your 13-year-old got in the
Well, I
golf
mean,
cart.
he admitted to wrecking it and told us he was sorry.
They were
and
all involved in it. If anything, he's responsible for a quarter of it, not for the whole thing. Your son is responsible. Therefore, you're responsible
My
for a
son
quarter.
is 13.
He's responsible for a quarter. He's responsible for a quarter. He's not responsible for the whole damage to the golf cart. They shouldn't have been in the golf cart to begin with. And if you saw them and you're the grown-up, you should have seen to it that they weren't in the golf cart.
Can I say something?
Listen, if you knew he was drinking, what's the drinking age where you are anyway?
21.
If he got hurt and he had been drinking at your wedding, he would have owned that house on the river.
I can't control him. He's not my child.
Oh, yes, you can. You can put him out of your house.
He wasn't at our house. It was an open field. We weren't there. He went off in a different area.
Miss Cotton, it's your responsibility when you have an event to ensure that there is no underage drinking. And based upon what you tell me, you saw him drinking and drunk at your wedding. You then saw him get into a golf cart and drive away. And it was your reception, and you couldn't do anything about it because you didn't want to leave the reception. That's what you told me.
I didn't see him get in. I heard them say they were going to do it and take off, and people were
Miss
sent
Cotton, I'm
after
getting
them.
less and less sympathy for you. I mean, that doesn't give him any right to do that. And he's going to pay for 1/4 of the damage. But I have less and less sympathy for you. You planned a wedding, and you had a bunch of kids, including these two people, not only the defendant, who were drinking at your wedding. And that's your responsibility. You are responsible for the venue. That's what the law says. And if they had gotten into a car instead of a golf cart, and instead of going between a boulder and scratching your golf cart, which is what he did, he got into his car and he killed somebody, you know who they'd come after? You. That's what the law says.
I didn't serve him the alcohol, and he stole
You
it.
did serve him alcohol.
I did.
Duh.
Actually, we didn't serve him the alcohol.
You did serve him alcohol.
Well, I mean, it's in a bar area. Anybody can walk to the bar and get it.
He didn't get it from the bar. He did go and take it.
Did you get it from the bar?
Actually, there was a fountain outside the wedding reception that had
Right.
wine, and there's a cup there and cups, and you could just go in and pour yourself some.
And did you not look at me and I told
Just
you
a
to
second.
put it down?
Just a second. Is
yes,
that what
you
you're
did,
telling me?
Dylan.
Then what you do is when you have children and you have open alcohol, you ensure that the children who are there don't drink the alcohol.
Well,
Miss Cotton, you're going to talk to me. You, me. Maybe you're used to getting the last word. I'm trying to tell you, 16 years of education and 30 years in the judicial system, it's your responsibility to ensure no underage drinking at your venue. Do you understand?
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost to fix this golf cart?
$1,119.35.
Your responsibility is $279, young man. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $279, only because you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility. Think that's reasonable? Sure. Good. That's all.
21-year-old Dora Spicer and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard Kiwi, for a loan to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Who's Miss Waters? Miss Spicer, this is your former boyfriend, and you have 2 children with him. Is that right?
Yes.
How long have you been together?
We were together a little over 5 years.
How old are you now?
21.
And how old are you?
24.
So you were 19, you were a baby. You were...
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You had gone to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing?
Yes.
And your children's clothing?
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over and...
What happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What
and
about
all
the
of her
children's
stuff.
clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes in totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Wait, just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I
What is
don't
he
want all
supposed
the
to have?
clothes.
You took some.
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has.
Yes.
Now, your clothing.
Yes. I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's
All right,
the only reason she
so
didn't
pack
take
it up
them.
and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th.
What year? Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
No, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
you
he
pay
said he could-
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
Yes,
Okay. Now, it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because it's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it. I'm a good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying and stuff, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping him out.
No, tell me how she came about. Did she come to you and tell you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling me
Dora,
about it.
look at me. When was it that your mother fell? Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, how much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We'd borrowed the money from him, and I've only got 1 mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March.
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of 06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May, the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid him back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure. She'd give the money to Dora, like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
Sometime in June, I don't know when. And the last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back. And that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort.
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where
Listen
I work.
to me. You have no contract with him, your daughter.
You
know, just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so. Sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car.
She never got the
now,
car.
do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir.
Okay.
Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house, and they know I cannot go over there because they have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt. So I got ex partes against them as well, her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called
over
him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him. Calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an account. He doesn't have gas. He can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time you saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time you saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry, and I want you to get her pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Robert McCullough is suing a former bandmate of his daughter's friend, Joseph Bongiorno, for the return of his musical equipment.
Mr. McCullough, it is your claim that the defendant has a piece of music equipment that belongs to you.
Actually, 2 pieces, Your Honor.
An amp and something else.
And a controller for it, yes.
The defendant acknowledges that he has the equipment. He said it's his. You gave it to him.
Okay.
That's your defense, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where is it?
It is currently in my possession at my home.
How long do you know the plaintiff?
Mr. McCullough, I met back in November of 2008.
How did you meet him?
I met him through Matthew Clooney, the plaintiff's witness. I'd been in a band with them since early, probably November of 2007.
So you met him through your bandmate?
Yes.
Now, tell me the circumstances of how this perfect stranger to you, someone with whom you had no relationship with, no business dealings with, correct? Mm-hmm. Gave you what he says, valuable pieces of equipment worth in excess of $1,000.
I went to his house with Matt Clooney, and he said Matt had previously called me saying that Mr. McCullough had an application system for me to use, and I went to
use an AMP system for you to use.
It was given to me, yes.
No, you first said he had an AMP system for you to use. Those are the words that you just said. Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
No, of course it's right. You want me to play it back for you?
No, thank
What you said was, Matt called you and said that Mr. McCullough had AMP equipment for you to use. Then you quickly changed the word use for you to have. But the first word you used was use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I took the equipment from Mr. McCullough.
What was the agreement? What did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
Well, when it was given to me or handed over to me, there was no agreement saying that I had to return the equipment.
Tell me what he said to you.
What he said to me was, you can have this equipment and use it, you know, tell me what you think about it, and that was what was said.
Did you use it?
Yes.
Did you tell him what you thought about it?
No, I did not.
Then you have to give it back. He gave it to you to use, and he said to you, I want you to use this and tell me what you think about it. There's your contract, if I believe you. You never told him what you thought about the equipment.
No, I did not.
You got to give it back. Now. The fact that you're angry because you're no longer in the band doesn't mean you don't return the equipment. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Within 5 days, sir, you get your equipment back.
Your Honor, just one quick thing I'd like to interject, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What would be the recourse I'd have the 2 pieces of equipment?
Do you have the 2 pieces of equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
He has them.
Okay.
And they're to be returned to him in good condition. Otherwise, he can bring you back here. Do you understand? You don't want to be back here because you've already embarrassed yourself. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you.
Bodies are excused.
Khi mà cả hai vợ chồng cùng đi xuất khẩu lao động sang đất nước Nhật Bản thì cần phải chuẩn bị những thứ gì? Thì đối với việc cả hai vợ chồng cùng nhau đăng ký để tham gia đi xuất khẩu lao động tại đất nước Nhật Bản thì so với việc là đi một mình thì chúng ta sẽ cần phải chuẩn bị rất là nhiều, trong đó có tinh thần, tiền bạc và cần phải chuẩn bị cái kiến thức là một cái thứ quan trọng nhất. Thì đầu tiên đó là cần phải chuẩn bị cái tinh thần trước khi đi. Thì khi mà hai vợ chồng cùng sang Nhật Bản để làm việc, đồng nghĩa với việc là chúng ta cần phải quyết tâm bỏ tất cả lại để chúng ta cùng nhau sang Nhật để làm việc. Đặc biệt là đối với những cặp vợ chồng mà đang có con nhỏ thì cái việc này sẽ rất là khó khăn khi mà phải rời xa con để chúng ta đi làm việc. Do đó mà các cặp vợ chồng của chúng ta cần phải chuẩn bị cái tinh thần thật là quyết tâm vì cuộc sống của cả gia đình thì chúng ta có thể mới vững tâm để làm việc tại đất nước Nhật Bản. Về cái việc chuẩn bị về cái tiền bạc thì khi mà cả hai vợ chồng cùng tham gia xuất khẩu lao động Nhật Bản thì cái chi phí mà đi so với đi một người, khi mà đi cả hai vợ chồng thì cái chi phí nó sẽ tăng lên gấp đôi. Vì vậy mà các cặp vợ chồng cần phải thu xếp cái khoản tài chính trước khi mà chúng ta đăng ký tham gia, và chúng ta cần phải chuẩn bị về cái kiến thức và về cái phong tục tập quán của đất nước Nhật Bản. Thì trước khi mà chúng ta sang Nhật Bản để chúng ta làm việc thì chúng ta cần phải chuẩn bị các kiến thức cơ bản nhất, như là về cái văn hóa, phong tục, và đặc biệt là chúng ta cần phải trau dồi cái tiếng Nhật Bản. Bên cạnh cái kiến thức thì chúng ta cũng phải tìm hiểu về các cái công việc để chúng ta sang đó chúng ta làm những cái công việc tốt nhất.